Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another edition of Open Mic. As you probably know, I am mainly an Xbox guy, but I try to keep my channel platform agnostic so we can talk about all games and not just Xbox games, although those are what I am most familiar with. But I did grow up as a Nintendo kid, as you might know, so I can talk about a lot of old school Nintendo stuff as well. But tonight is going to be kind of Xbox-centric as my guest host tonight. Corey, or also known as rawkerdude, is a buddy of mine from the Achievement Hunting 101 community that I've mentioned a number of times. So let me bring him on in. Hello, Corey, rawkerdude.
Ahoy, hoy. What's up?
Hey,
Neil?
thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah,
I'm glad you
absolutely.
could come on and we could talk about games and stuff.
Absolutely. Love to do it.
Cool. So one thing before we kind of jump into that, I just kind of wanted to highlight my buddy my buddy JT. He drops into the chat every once in a while, and he is a graphic artist, and he's the one who designed my logo, and he just created my banner this week, which you may have noticed. So I just wanted to share this real quick and just show everyone, because I'm very proud of what we were able to come up with together. I'm just going to share this. Let's see here. Yeah.
Nice.
So he created this banner for me. He's like, "Hey, what characters do you want?" I'm like, I put a whole bunch of characters that I wanted on there, and he's like, "All right, I'll make it happen." So
I'll do all of them.
So you'll see this on like my Twitter or banner and on my YouTube channel and stuff. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. He's a good buddy of mine.
I wish I was more graphically inclined when it came to that stuff. I could do some paint stuff, but
yeah, I'm very artistically challenged. I'm, as I usually say, I'm closer to autistic than artistic.
There you go.
I can be very, very OCD about certain things. So, but yeah, I definitely don't have the artist gene in me. So
yeah, same.
All right. Well, first thing I wanted to bring up with you. So, kind of the origins of your online persona. So, rawkerdude. What made you come up with that? Or are you a rawkerdude? Like going to rock shows?
So if I go back, it kind of goes to AOL Instant Messenger.
Okay. I remember those days.
Yeah, I can't think of the exact beginnings, but at one point, I don't know if I started it, my first account there or another account, but I couldn't think of a name, and it had like a generator, and you just put random stuff in there. And I put in there hate rap because I hated rap music.
That's one genre of music I'm not particularly fond of as well. There's a few, but I'm not big on it.
Well, see, I like it now. Well, some of it.
Yeah.
And so it came up with hat rap, and I think I used that for a little bit. But once like that kind of went away, and gamer tags was a thing, it turned into rawkerdude. I don't know where that came from. I think it was still like rock music was like, that's what I want it to be known for. And ROCK rawkerdude was probably taken or something. So I came up with, raw as in like raw meat, rawkerdude. And
okay, I thought you were gonna say raw as in like WWE.
Well, I did watch that, but not at that time. I think I was over it then. But yeah, that's kind of where it started. Yeah, it was rock music kind of centered, even though shortly thereafter, my music taste changed a little bit, and it's grown now. But yeah, that is you're pretty close on the money with that guess there.
I've got a couple buddies who their gamer tags, they just went with whatever the Xbox system generated for them. So they've got like really funny gamer tags. So, so back in the day when this all was going down, what were some of your favorite rock groups?
Avenged Sevenfold was probably around this time.
I saw them. I went to like a big show that had like tons of bands one time, and they were one of the bands there, and they were pretty awesome.
Yeah, I just lost it. There was one that Slash was in, Velvet Revolver.
Oh yeah, I was Velvet Revolver. Yep,
that was a big one. I've not been to a lot of concerts, but I have been to a Velvet Revolver concert. And I actually listened to a lot of classic rock, which at that time I considered Kiss, Def Leppard, all of that.
Oh, I love Def Leppard.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see Def Leppard in concert. I saw Foreigner. They were a blast. That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
So it was kind of in that realm. And then, like I said, shortly thereafter, taste changed, and like I went towards alternative, and I've kind of stayed there for my main genre, alternative and alternative rock, really. So it's probably my preferred stuff.
Okay, yeah, I'm still a big rock guy. Classic rock, modern rock, new metal. And my buddy Nick, Backyard TARDIS, he lives about an hour north of me, so he's pretty close. We haven't met in person, but I'm sure we'll probably cross paths at some point. Thank you for joining me, Nick. Good to see you here.
Welcome, Nick.
So, and then your possum avatar, where did that come? Is it a possum or is it some other rodent that looks like a possum?
It is a possum. So this comes from Achievement Hunting 101, which is the podcast. It stemmed from there. So,
okay.
Do you want to talk about that first, or?
Okay, yeah, I'll give a little intro on that. So, as I've mentioned a number of times across both my open mic and my party chat, I'm really involved in an Xbox community called Achievement Hunting 101. Mainly, it's a Discord group, and I've been plugged in with them for a couple years. And they do a podcast every week, and the episode that just aired this week was episode 263. I joined in somewhere between episode 75 and 100. I'd have to go back and listen to the ones in that range to figure out which one it was. I remember the first one I listened to after the main segment, there was like a game show. It was almost like a D&D thing where people were like using power-ups and stuff. And I was so confused. I had no idea what was going on. But I stuck around and got really plugged in with these guys. And rawkerdude here was part of the founding of the Achievement Hunting 101 community. So that was one of the things I was going to ask him about is how did the AH101 community come together, and how does that dovetail into the possum avatar?
Sure. So Achievement Hunting 101 is that podcast and community is kind of like a phoenix. It's like a second life for a lot of the original members of it and the people who kind of founded it. There was a podcast called Z to Z, which was
Achievement. That's what you were about to say.
It was achievement hunting based, and towards the second half of their life, they were on a forum, and Discord started to come up, and we somehow convinced them to start a Discord, and it very much like Achievement Hunting 101 is now is how we started out over there. And like all things, that podcast they disbanded, and
about a couple years ago. Is that right, or was it?
Achievement Hunting 101 just had its 5-year anniversary, so it was just over 5 years ago. There was not a large gap.
So AH101 started like right after Z to Z ended.
Yeah, there was there's like in Discord you can have group DMs like up to 10 people, and there's 10 of us in this one, and it grew over time, and we kind of just talked about we could do our own podcast, and this was kind of right before probably Z to Z ended, but when they announced they were ending, it's like, okay, let's do this. And so we just figured it out on our own. We all had like really cheap mics and stuff. I had probably the best mic at the time, which was a Blue Yeti that borrowed it from my dad. And
I know that's like a lot of people's starting mic.
Yeah, and I was like, just plug it up and we'll see what we can do with that. We Googled how to record our voice and all of that. Luckily, we had this Z to Z community kind of in our hands, really. So we created our own Discord so we could moderate it, and we started hosting podcast over on Podbean because it was relatively cheap, and that's where they still are today. And we were able to leverage that listener base and move people over. So we had a good starting point. But it was it's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 people that started this podcast. And as you mentioned, you came in and there's a podcast, and right after was like a game show. It's less like that. Well, actually, I wouldn't even say it's less like that now. I see Achievement Hunting 101 it's a variety show. every week there is a consistent panel. So very traditional podcast talk. What have you been playing? What is some of the big news in our world? It's related to achievement hunting. Question of the week and stuff like that. We have taken achievement hunting specific stuff like milestones, because that is highly tracked in this community, and we shout them out, and then we've created all kinds of contests based off of that. And then after that is it's like a variety segment. You never know what you're going to get every week. There could be specific contest roundups. There are game shows from time to time. Those take a lot of work, and so they're few and far between. There's funny segments that people make up for entertainment purposes. It's all kinds of stuff, and yeah, it's been going, like you said, 263 episodes strong at this point.
And so the main co-hosts of the podcast now are Fufu Cuddly Poof, Big L, Koosh Moose, and typically Matriarch.
Mm-hmm.
But it could kind of cycle out depending on people's schedules. But you were one of the main panelists for a lot of the time up until pretty recently. Maybe earlier this year was that you kind of cycled out? Or
somebody actually asked me this week, and I had to look it up. It was actually March of 2022. I can't believe it's been that long.
Almost a year and a half ago. Wow.
Yeah, I stepped away. That long. Yeah, I stepped away just for a variety of reasons, time being one of them. It doesn't seem like a lot of time to make a podcast, but it can be, especially when you're editing.
Were you doing a lot of the editing? Or is that kind of shared?
It's shared between Fufu's what we call the main editor. He'll definitely splice the things together because, as you mentioned, we record on a different platform and then kind of push that all together. So we probably do more work than we have to. But that is shared, and then the other segments are edited as well, and then we all put them together. So that takes into account. Usually, you can at least account for double the amount of time that you record to edit, at least especially in the beginning when you're figuring it out, learning it. I think if I can speak for myself, I think get to a point to where I could edit confidently in probably a 1-to-1 ratio. And I could do a lot of stuff visually because you can see like the sound waves and stuff.
You guys only do a video live show once a month. All the others are pre-recorded. And it's just audio. It's not video. So I can imagine that editing audio only is probably a lot more difficult than editing video because there's nothing really to look at to know where your time points are and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So just stepping away from that just gives me some more time to do things. I everything I do gaming related, it almost all of it happens from like 8 to 9 p.m. at night till whenever I want to go to bed. And I typically go to bed at by midnight. So I'm looking at 2 to 3 hours most a day to do this hobby that I really like and I really enjoy. So you take away 2 days of that just for podcasting, and actually, funny enough, I get less time to do this on the weekend, so it just goes away. So
that makes sense.
Doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up over time.
Yeah. So what's up, my buddy Paul Hadouken, who was on open mic with me last week? Thanks for joining me tonight. He's usually out Ubering and stuff at this time, making some money, so he's probably listening in from his car would be my guess. Thanks for joining us, man. So yeah, the other co-hosts, Fufu, Big L, and Koosh, and you, were you guys all part of the Z to Z then? And
we were, yeah, and everybody but Koosh was there from the very first episode. I think we looked at it one time. Koosh came in around episode 20. He was there, in the background, in that same DM group, and I don't know what took so long or what have you. But the first 20 episodes had I'm just kind of browsing through them now because we used to put who was on there, but Mighty Mango was, he's a notable name in the achievement hunting community. At least he was. He's kind of calmed down a bit, but he had one of the largest Xbox 360 collections physically.
Okay,
nice. And he just, a lot of people knew his name. So he was around during those early times.
Okay. Yep. Paul is listening from his car, as I suspected. Hello, Chris. Chris Ring. Hello. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is new to my channel.
Chris Ring is actually what the fug.
Oh, that's Fug.
It's Fug. What
What's up, Fug?
Achievement Hunting 101 community member.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me tonight, Fug. And it's cool to put a little avatar face to and name to a gamer tag. So cool. Okay, so that kind of covers the founding of AH 101, and but we still haven't touched on where your possum came from.
We didn't. So we used to do these things. We thought we were clever, and instead of putting everything into one podcast episode, we would release like 2 podcasts a week, and the second one we would call like B-sides, or bonus podcast or something like that, kind of like the B-side of a tape. And they might have a review, they might have a special segment, and especially 2 episodes. This only happened twice. Me and Elroy got together. Elroy's actually in Tennessee, same as me.
Oh, that's right.
Tennessee, yeah. Tennessee's a very long state, so
it's
we actually
in multiple time zones.
Yes, we actually don't live close. Like, he's at least like 4 hours away from me. But we did meet at an Achievement Fest one time.
Okay, cool. I think when I was talking to him, because I recorded a segment with him earlier at the beginning of the year, and we were looking at Tennessee, and I think Tennessee borders more states than any other state in the U.S.
That would not surprise me. But so he reached out, and we were friends and stuff at the time, and we still are. We're actually game share partners, and
oh, nice.
He has these crazy ideas, and I love everything he comes up with. He doesn't record as much now for different reasons. Busy, and G-Task is a time-consuming thing, but
is he still in that?
He's still in it. They're coming up on the finals week.
Jeez, G-Task is nuts. So for anyone who doesn't follow Xbox, G-Task is basically like a 6-month-long contest where you got to get achievements. So like I mentioned before, in True Achievements, you have your gamer score value, and then the difficulty of the achievement has a ratio. And so the gamer score is multiplied by that ratio to give you the true achievement value. And in G-Task, it's based on the difference between the true achievement value and the gamer score value. So if you've got an achievement that's worth 10 gamer score, but 20 TA score, the difference is 10 TAD, true achievement difference. And so this contest is based on getting enough to stay in the running every week, and the bottom half or the bottom quarter of participants get eliminated every week. So it used to be a year-long thing, but they cut it down to 6 months. So it gets pretty nuts.
Yeah. So back to his crazy idea. He wanted to do Achievement Wildlife Hunters. And so his idea was we would talk about achievements related to some kind of critter or rodent or something like that. And so we've talked about like raccoons and then like possums. So those came up, and so we found achievements that had those in them, games that had them in them, and we just talked about them, and it was a real funny time. Like, I edited those, and again, this was just looking at the dates, like 3 months after we started, and like we've only done 11-12 episodes, so like we're still learning how to do all this. So I put like banjos in the background to like give it that southern feel and stuff. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, talking about wildlife kind of became like almost like a meme in the community. And so we just, like everything, especially me, I'll just take it, whatever the meme happens, and I'll run with it. A lot of times during the podcast, I'll like say words wrong, and I'll just own it. I'll just take it and own it. And so this whole possum and critters thing, I owned it. We made a tag in Discord. It's still there. It's called Brer, because he'll say, "Hey, Brer Rocker," and I'll say Brer Elroy and stuff like that. And anyways, sorry if I'm rambling.
No worries.
One Christmas a few years ago, I wanted to get him a gift, and it's so hard to buy, especially for games your partners. Like, hey, I bought this game that I always buy games for. It's on the account. You play it. I decided to commission some artwork, and I got a possum done and a a raccoon done, and like they're wearing clothes and stuff, and they're playing games. And my possum's holding a controller. The raccoon, which is Elroy, he has like muscly arms because he's a big muscle guy, and he's holding an achievement trophy. And so,
is it kind of like that one right there?
Kind of like it within a green orb. So
Okay.
it kind of ties into Xbox, and so I kind of gave him that artwork, and that is his picture in places, and I kept the possum, and that's history since.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So Nick says he got a mouse for his tablet, so he's gonna be playing some RTS tonight. What RTS are you gonna be playing there, Nick? Be interesting to hear. So like I mentioned before, I play a lot of genres, as most of us in the Achievement Hunting 101 community do. But some genres that I don't really do are fighting games and RTSs because I'm terrible at them. But I don't really have anything against them. But a RTS I liked as a kid, I never ever played it online, but I liked playing against the bots, was Total Annihilation. That's really the only RTS I've really spent a decent amount of time in. I did play a bit of the original Command and Conquer. I don't think I ever beat it. Yeah, I don't think I played really anything else. So I'm curious to find out what RTS you're going to be playing. So, okay. So, okay. Age of Empires 2. That is
classic.
Yeah. So, coming from the achievement hunting side of things, the Age of Empires 1 and 3 are pretty short completions, but Age of Empires 2 is like a 200+ hour completion. So I've played a bit of Age of Empires 1 and 3, but I've not played 2 because I'm good on short completions, even in genres that I don't typically play. But if it's a huge commitment, I'm not gonna go there. And Paul was playing some more Grounded today. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that at some point. Looks like a lot of fun because I'm big in it's survival crafting, and one of my favorite games is Subnautica, and so I'm pretty sure I played a couple hours of Grounded and I've liked it, so I'm looking forward to getting to it at some point. There is an exploit to get all the achievements pretty much instantly, which I have purposely not done in order to play it legit. So
good for you.
Hello, Ray. Also a new person to my channel. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Do you know who this is, Corey?
Just the name Ray, I do not know. But hi, Ray.
Hello, Ray. So, speaking of exploits in achievements for survival crafting games, Subnautica also has them, both the original and Below Zero. However, I completed the game I have to go back and look, but probably like 6 months or so before the console commands were discovered. And after that, it dropped the game from about a 60-hour completion down to a 2-hour completion. And the ratio dropped from a 3.7 to a 1.7. So I lost a bunch of TA from that one, but it's still a great game, and I recommend anyone play it, even if they have gotten all the achievements. Because, like I mentioned last week, that as an achievement hunter, it takes a lot to get me to go back to a game that I've already completed all the achievements for, and I've completed that game a bunch of times. I just completed it again earlier this week because I freaking love that game. So, Ray is from Discord. So, well, thanks for joining us, Ray.
Nice.
Okay, so on to a little bit of Xbox related stuff. You in the Achievement Hunting 101 podcast, like we mentioned a few minutes ago, they do a live show on Twitch once a month. Typically the first Tuesday of every month, but the first Tuesday of this month was the first of the month. So the live show fell on this last Tuesday, the 8th. So we were kind of chatting a little bit back and forth in the chat at the end of the show, and want to touch on some of the things that we were kind of chatting about at the end of the show there. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was the new Xbox dashboard. Do you have the new dashboard?
I do. Yeah. I saw you guys going back and forth, and I was like checking just to make sure I kind of knew where stuff was. But yes, I do have it.
Okay. So my One X I was on the preview program because that back in the day, that was the only way to get before they added it into Game Pass Ultimate, you had to be on the preview program in order to get the game streaming option, so I could stream my Xbox to like my iPad or whatever.
Right.
So it's been on the preview program for a long time, and my One X got the dashboard update probably like close to 2 months ago. and I immediately hated it. And I sent some very all caps locks messages to Microsoft in the Insiders app, hoping that they would listen to feedback, because I know I'm not the only one. I've looked through forums, and a lot of people aren't big fans of it as well. But they didn't listen, and they just kept it exactly as it was for the official launch, which was like this last week or so. So pretty much everyone has it by now.
Mm-hmm.
So did you just get it this week then?
I think I got it last week when the story broke that it was generally available. I went to try to get it. I don't pay it that much attention. If it messes with my muscle memory, that's when it will, catch my attention. But otherwise, like I'm trying to figure out like what's different, and mostly it just seems like some of those quick actions are at the top now. There's probably more stuff that I don't, that I am missing. So if you know of any, let me know. And I got my Xbox right here. I could test it. But otherwise, as much as I use it, I use the Snap Guide menu there. I guess that's what it's called. I use that a lot, and that looks the same.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much the same. I never ever use that.
Okay.
So hey, Paul shouted me out on the Side Scrollers Discord. Appreciate that. And Ray says he's mostly here's the wrong one. Is mostly active in the sports chat in Discord, which I am not a sports person, so I'm never in that one. I am pretty much always in the Vayner chat as I run the Vayner challenge, which we may or may not get to at some point.
I think we got to hit on it at least quick.
We got to at some point because rawkerdude here is a fellow Metroidvania enthusiast, as I
sort of started it.
And Horny Elf is here. Hello, thank you for joining me. He was playing Subnautica earlier today, and I was in his chat, kind of helping guide him because he's playing it for the first time in like a long time. He'd never completed it before, so I'm like, oh, you should go do this, and you should go do this. So, the one benefit. The good thing on the new Xbox dashboard is on the main screen, you used to have, I think it was 6 tiles across, and they were pretty large, so they covered up most of the home page, so you can't really see your background. They've made the icons smaller, and they're moved down towards the bottom of the screen. I think there's 9 now, so you can fit more on there, and you can actually see your background. No problem with that. I'm cool with that. One thing that is annoying is that when you go down one, it used to be the button to get you to your your groups and stuff, and get to your system settings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now that takes you straight to the Microsoft Store, and the way to get to the stuff that you normally do is to go up to the top. So that's just a little bit of relearning.
I wonder if yours is different, because mine's to my library.
Is it the library?
That's where mine is, and it used to be the store. So I keep going down there for the store, and I have to remind myself, don't go there for the store. Everything you mentioned so far, like I like the more game tiles. They're smaller, the more your background's kind of there. The second row where you can see it on the home screen, where it does have, again, my library or the game store, it has 3 other tiles,
which are usually ads.
They're all sponsored stuff. And I'm never going to click on any of it ever.
Those have pretty much always been there. The home screen, I pretty much have no issue with, except for that button right below. If you go down one from your default tile, they changed that one, which is a little annoying. But for the most part, the home screen, I don't really have an issue with. It's good. It's everything else that I have a problem with. So I use the home screen for pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go down, you used to be able to hit the right trigger to go down one page to like your first pinned group.
Sure. Yep.
Now, in order to get there, you have to hit it 3 times, which is annoying. But the single biggest issue I have is that you used to be able to pin up to 15 groups to your homepage, which I had, I think, 12 pinned, because I've got tons of different groups for different stuff. As I would assume most others who are big, achievement hunters like us probably have tons of groups. So I had like 12 groups on my homepage, and I knew where everything was. Now you only get 2 pinned groups to your homepage. And when you go down, it's just nothing but ads. You have to go down. There's like 10, you can go down like 10 times, and except for those 2 pinned ones, everything else is like sponsored content that I couldn't care less about. I don't give a crap about any of it, and there's no way to remove it, and I hate it. It's like, give me back my pins on my homepage, because now the only way to get to them is to pull up your guide and go to your groups. But when you go to a group, you have to click it to expand it, so you can't see what's in it until you expand it, and you can only see like the top few of them, so you have to scroll down to see if what I'm looking for is in that group. I can't see all of them, and then if I want to close it, I have to scroll back up, hit it to collapse it, and then go to the next group. Whereas I used to have all my pins on my homepage, and I could just go down one page at a time, and I could see all the games that were in each pinned group.
Sure. Yeah. See, I don't use groups, so but like I made some sometimes. I'm looking at them now, and yeah, this is a lot of maneuvering to get to them, and I don't like it. But if you use them all the time, yeah, that would be quite annoying. And
Yep, I use
same
them all
same
the
as you
time.
said, all of these other rows that are there, like I like the leaving Game Pass stuff because
That's the
it's
one
there.
that I would leave if I had the option to remove all the others. I would leave that one, but other than that,
Yeah.
I'd get rid of everything. There's
Yeah,
no
but
way
the
to
rest of
remove
these
it.
I could care less about. I
Exactly.
don't play Call of Duty, and that's all that there is on one of them. One of them is movies. I don't rent movies from this
Exactly.
store. It's really pretty crazy that you can't even remove them.
It's cluttered
But
with all this, basically shoving all this stuff in your face that I don't care about, and
yeah,
there's no way to customize it. So I hate it. And so I kind of just wanted to vent about that for a little bit, because
sure, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
especially you gave feedback on it, and they kind of ignored it, right? So
yeah, and I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people have had similar feelings
yeah,
in a number of different forums and stuff. So it's like, what's the point of the inside group if you don't listen to the feedback and you're just going to do whatever the heck you want anyways?
yeah.
So Nick says, every time you say my 1X, it sounds like you're saying my 1X, like my ex-girlfriend sort of thing. Yeah, because I've got a 1X, which I was originally going to sell when I got my Series X, but I ended up keeping it. And so I've got my 1X back here in my office. My Series X is out in my family room on my big TV. So are you both? Yes, we are both on TA. I am X Neo 21X. That's my gamer tag right there. And this is rawkerdude. It used to be 45012, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, it's dumb. It used to be rawkerdude 5012. And then they made the thing where you could change it to anything you want. And I was like,
They adapted that from Discord, and then Discord
yeah,
just recently got rid of that, and everyone has to have a unique name, which is they've kind of
yeah.
like flip flopped.
So when I did that, rawkerdude without the numbers was available. So I picked it, and then it gave me a hashtag 5012 anyways. So like that's my ID, and that's what it shows, and it's annoying, but yeah, you can find me just as my tag says on here, but just with 5012.
Yeah, on my Twitter or on my YouTube homepage, I've got a link. Everyone uses Linktree. I use one that's called Card. It's CARRD. That's got a link to all my stuff, my True Achievements page, my YouTube, my all the other socials. So if you want to hit me up there, you are welcome to. So okay, so yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about on the Xbox dashboard, because I hate it and I want my old dashboard back. I would gladly sacrifice the extra screen space on the homepage to get my pins back, or at least if I would be okay if you could at least just remove all of the sponsored content when you go down the homepage. If you could just remove the ones that you don't want, I would be okay with that. But who knows if they're
Yeah,
going to
I'm
do that.
sure there's like background stuff they're doing, but I think it would be fine if they gave you the choice, you know?
Exactly. It's like we used to be able to customize it exactly how we wanted to, and they took all that customization option away, and they're like, here, take this, and you can't do anything with it except for your 2 pinned groups.
Right.
So one of the other things that we were kind of going back and forth on at the end of the podcast in chat was, and I think you kind of agreed with me, is we were talking about some overrated things. And if
Yeah.
anyone has listened to basically any of my previous episodes of Open Mic or Party Chat, I think Rockstar is like the most overrated developer in the industry. I think all of their games are very boring. I'm not saying they're bad. They're typically well put together, except for the recent definitive edition of the old school trilogy. That was a garbage fire. But that was what's it called? Delegated out to a third party company to do that port. But typically their games come out are pretty well polished, and they are big games and well put together with lots of detail and stuff. But I just think their games are so boring, and I just think they're pretty overrated. And I think you kind of had a similar sentiment. Is that right?
Yeah, I know it makes for bad radio to agree, but yeah, I do enjoy their games. Bully is one of my all-time favorite games.
Okay, I never played Bully. I've heard good things, but it just looks like GTA in like a prep school, which
right.
I'm not a fan of GTA, so I don't think I'd like Bully either.
It kind of is. I think that I think their games are too big.
Ray's with us on this. Don't hate it, just don't like it.
Exactly. I think their games are too big, and I think that they don't come out like the weight that they make gamers wait for the games. I don't think that they're worth it, you know?
GTA 5 has been released on 3 separate generations. We still don't have GTA 6, and I don't even think there's a release date for it yet.
GTA 5 is older than my kid who just started 4th grade.
Yeah, it released on 360, then on Xbox One, and now there's a Series X version. And they've been talking about GTA 6, but I don't even know if there's a ETA on it. So yeah, it's basically like Skyrim, where they've released it on like everything and they just keep it going, because that game was a 2011, so that game's been around a long time too. So maybe Bethesda is kind of in the same vein when they have long waits for their games, but I do like Bethesda games.
I could see the comparison for sure.
Speaking of Rockstar, have you heard about the whole release of on the PlayStation and Switch version they just announced this week?
I've seen a bit. It's coming out for those systems, but they're charging like $50.
Yeah, so they're charging $50. You get less than what you did in the original game, because the original, I'd have to look it up, but I think it's just RDR2.
Okay.
Which had multiplayer in it. This release doesn't have multiplayer, so they're stripping stuff out. It's a port, so no upgrades. Doesn't run better, doesn't have better graphics. It's a port of the PlayStation 4 version, and it's $50. And the RDR2 came out, was also a 360 game, I think, right? Yes. Originally released on 360. And
yes. Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. So it's an older game, and they're releasing it for $50. And the even with this new release coming out, the best way to still play the game is to play the 360 version on a Series X, because Series X basically plays old games better than it doesn't just emulate it actually plays those games better. So
it's also like, on it's only $30.
Oh, that's version. Right. And you could probably get the 360 version for, like you said, $30. I bet you could probably find it for less than that.
Yeah, that's the price. Normally it's on sale for $25 at Amazon right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, so you could probably, I don't know why you get it for half of the price of this new one. So I guess because if you already, like, who is this marketed towards? I can't understand anyone on PlayStation buying this, because if they like the game, they probably already own it. The only thing I can think of is if you want to take it and play it on the go on your Switch. That's the only thing that would make sense to me.
It seems very GTA trilogy esque, like where they're trying to generate some cash with minimal work.
Yeah.
So I think that's all that they're trying to do.
They're probably used to making all the buku bucks just from shark cards and GTA Online. It's like, why put all this effort into actually doing work when we can just, put some, 5-minute, spend 10 minutes making a skin and charge people for it and make millions.
Yeah, I don't think they've put out an original game that wasn't a re-release or, a definitive edition since Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018. If I'm looking correctly.
Red Dead 2 came out in 2018?
Yep, October 2018.
And it was a 360 game?
Well, no, the second one, the sequel. The first one came out way long ago.
Okay, so was Red Dead 2 that not a 360 game then?
Correct. Is
Okay, I
is
was
that the one
thinking
that's coming out for
both.
Switch? Let's see.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking Red Dead 1 and 2 were both 360 games, but no, Red Dead 1 was a 360 game. Red Dead 2 was an Xbox One game. Okay, that
Correct.
would
Yeah.
make sense. So yeah, yeah, that would be their last game in 2018, which is as of this October, that'll be 6 years ago since they released the new game. So it's like when you make all this money from online, it's like why put all this effort into making new stuff? Such is the draw for developers when it comes to microtransactions, and partially uh, partially the cause of kind of a lot of the decline of quality of some of the games that we've gotten over recently, where a lot of these games come out in broken states and you're paying to play it day one and you're basically a beta tester.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I would love to see their data to see who is giving them all this money. Because I don't know anybody that does it, but
Yeah,
I
I
know
don't either.
the community I'm in, they're niche community. So
Yeah, it's probably more of the normie people who like buy like one or two games a year. Because yeah, most of us like achievement hunters, we don't really pick one game and stick to it for terribly long.
yeah, it's funny. It happened twice this week. It normally doesn't happen, but people have found out that I play games, and they're like, "Oh, what do you play?" I'm like, "I play everything." You know,
Yeah.
if
Oh,
it, unless it's a sports game, I probably play it.
yeah, I don't do sports games either. That's another thing is like with every release of Madden is like I watch Angry Joe's reviews of the sports games because he just goes off on them because they put so little effort into it. You'll find last year's banner in the background of this year's game. It's like Madden 23, but you'll see a Madden 22 banner in the background.
Oops,
They
I forgot
reuse
that app set.
the same content and it's just so half-assed, and they put it out and people, the normies who just play sports games, they just keep buying it and buying it. They're part of the problem.
Yeah.
But if, the when you mentioned like I play everything, it was kind of funny. I was over at someone's house recently, and these kids were over there. They're like, "Oh, you're a gamer too? Do you play Apex or do you play Fortnite?" And I'm like, "No." They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're not really a gamer." I'm like, "Excuse me?
See,
You
I
play
have the
Apex and
opposite.
Fortnite. You're not the real gamer.
Yeah.
I'm the real gamer.
Yeah.
I play everything, or mostly everything."
Yeah, I used to have that mentality like, "Oh, you're just a bro gamer," but both can exist in the world, but I still think you are a totally different side of the planet if, really, but I'll call you a gamer, I guess, but
Yeah, it's like those people who like just play Call of Duty or just play sports games or just play Fortnite. It's
yeah.
like you're kind of a gamer.
Yeah, I the last game that I got sucked into was Destiny, the original. I put in 600 hours. I played other stuff kind of in between too, but it was a lot of concentrated Destiny.
Yeah, me too.
But even that, I can't go back to playing one game so much.
Yeah, especially with like every time it's like, oh, I'll play Subnautica for like 10 minutes, then I end up playing through the whole thing. It's like I need to stop playing Subnautica because I've got this huge backlog of games I need to get
Yeah.
through. But it's just I love that game. But yeah, the last couple games that I was like played a lot was around that time from like 2012 to like 2016 or so. I
hmm
basically played 3 games. I played Destiny 1, Skyrim, and Mass Effect 3, which I still regularly play to a couple times a month with my buddies. We love playing the multiplayer. But yeah, I had like 1,600 hours in Destiny, which we talked about in my last party chat on Saturday. Is games that you spent the most time in Destiny. Is
hmm
my number one most played game, and Mass Effect 3 is my second most played game. So Nick says that his probably most played games are Fortnite, Destiny, and Apex. Okay. Good. Let's see what he said here. You see this affect game culture now because before all we played different kinds of games and basically could talk about anything that's out, but now you could playing one online game for like ever, like WoW gamers. They just been playing the same game for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nuts. Okay. So what what have you been playing lately?
So I've actually calmed down a lot. I'll go through spurts of like I want really easy gamer score, and I'll
I
play.
was
Yeah.
going to touch on that when you I think it was last year when you True
Hmm.
Foof attained.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Just the sidebar on that. I'll get into these spurts because I have access to all these a lot of these easy gamer score games, and they're just sitting there. And when I'm say easy, I mean like you can get 1,000 gamer score within 10 minutes.
Yeah, I've,
Some are
I've
even
touched on
more
them.
ridiculous. Uh, I've done a lot of those, so I
Mm.
don't have a lot left. But I definitely still have easy stuff because I don't really touch it throughout the year unless it's for a
Like a
contest.
contest or something. Yeah.
Exactly. And so last September, I was, I don't know, 850 ish thousand, something like that. I was like, I'm close enough to a million. Let me just go ahead and do it. And so I said, for the month of September, I'm just gonna go do it. And there was another contest that was gamer score related, so it kind of uh,
Overlapped.
it overlapped. But I ended up getting like I don't know 47,000 in a day. Uh, Early on, I ended up hitting the million like 12 days in or something like that. So that was like, 150,000. And then the podcast host for Achievement Hunting 101, Foofa Cuddly Poof, it's a long standing joke that he's on an achievement hunting podcast and he doesn't get a ton of achievements anymore. He hit his first 100,000 fairly early on in the podcast. And, 5 years later, he's doubled that. He's in the 200,000s, but it's around 215 ish, something like that. And I said, 70,000 more to go. I can do that. So I went ahead and did his entire gamer score in a month. So
Yes, that was pretty funny. So you did about 215,000 gamer score that month. Is that about?
something around that. It was definitely post 200,000. And I could have got more,
Could have
but
gone more.
once I hit that, it's like, okay, put the brakes on. I'm fine.
That was pretty funny listening to that. So Ray's out. He's like, I got to play some Gears 5. Thanks for joining us for a while, Ray. It was cool that you joined us. And last game that Nick played a lot of was Smash Bros. Ultimate, which if I ever get a Switch, that is one of the games that I will definitely get because I love Smash Bros. That's like the only, like I said, I don't really do fighting games, but I love Smash Bros. Because it's like baby's first fighter. And Sonic Mania Plus, I've never been big on Sonic. Don't have anything against it. Just I'm not terribly familiar with the Sonic franchise.
Sonic's hit or miss, but Sonic Mania is a good one.
Okay, cool. So have you haven't been really working on anything specific lately?
No, so that kind of ties into like right now I'm not in a lull, but I'm playing what I want to play. And I'll quote unquote say I work for a website that reviews games. Uh, Xbox Tavern is the website, and so
Okay, I've heard about that.
there's just a lot of most of them are written reviews, and I kind of got in with that group a couple of years ago, based off somebody who joined them at that time, and they needed people, and I wanted free games, right? So I said, yeah, let me try, and so I do YouTube video reviews over there. I kind of wanted to kind of learn how to video edit a little bit. And I'm not one to be great with words, so I don't really want to write all that stuff. So I find recording the audio, editing videos is much more of my style.
Okay.
And they haven't said no to it. So I like to review games over there. And most of the time, I have one of their games to play on deck. And then I will bounce around between whatever I feel like it at the time. It could be a Game Pass leaving game because I need to get it done. Or it could be something I'm focusing on, maybe like a Vayner of the month.
So, talking about Game Pass leaving games, last week when Paul Hadouken was on, he used this term, and I was like, "Oh, that's perfect. We should adopt this for when you got to play a game before it leaves Game Pass." The term "panic play." I was like, I'm gonna start using that. So yeah, I'm not panic playing anything right now because nothing I'm interested in is leaving at the middle of August. But we'll see in a few days what's leaving at the end of August. I may have to panic play something, but I was panic playing something right before the end of July, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember. I have not had to
The
panic
Ascent.
play.
I panic
Okay.
played The Ascent.
Yeah. I've not had to panic play in a few months. It's nice. It's really nice when you can predict it before they announce it, which has happened to me a couple of times, thanks to people way smarter than me in the Discord who achievement hunters are like stat tracking crazy, and they track
There's
when games come into the Game Pass uh, system, and they can pretty accurately know when they're going to leave or when they have a higher than normal chance of leaving. So you can hop on a game super early.
They're like the weathermen, but for Game Pass
Exactly.
games leaving Game Pass. Yeah, they got spreadsheets of like,
Yeah.
this is how long this game's been in Game Pass. Here's a likelihood of it leaving, this month. So that's I keep an eye on that sometimes. But most of
Yeah.
the stuff that I play on Game Pass is stuff that um, is not like, if I have 2 weeks to play it, I can definitely get it done. So I typically don't do stuff that's going to take me longer than 2 weeks to play. So the only time it really comes an issue is when I have multiple games that I want to play are all leaving at the same time. Then I got to panic play like 3 or 4 games all within like a 2-week period.
Yeah, it can be hard to balance that because luckily we have completion estimates on TA, and you can kind of use that to your advantage. But it can be pretty stressful when it's like 3 games you want to get to, and they're at least 10 hours each, and you're like, I got 2 weeks to get 30 to 50 hours of gaming in.
Yeah. The worst was just recently, within the last few months, 2 games I panic played. I completed everything, but I did not get all the achievements. And it's not something I
Oh,
could just quickly do over again. I have to play through the whole game again. It's happened to me twice this year, which
mm.
was really annoying. So I bought those games when they were on super sale. So I have to still have to go back and get those like last 2 achievements that are, both of them are like right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So one of the other things that you may have heard us mention is Vayners, which in the Achievement Hunting 101 community, Vayner is the term that we use as the abbreviation of Metroidvania, because that is a very popular genre in our group. I might have mentioned it in one of my other episodes that in our AH101 community, in the top 50 leaderboard places on the Metroidvania leaderboard, we take up probably about 20 or 25 of them. So we're always kind of fighting for those top spots. And there was a little period where so when you see the preview of the leaderboard, it gives you the top 25 places. If you want to see past the top 25 places, you actually have to go in and see the full leaderboard. So there was a time earlier this year where you and I were kind of battling it back and forth for that 25th spot. We kind of knocked each other off a couple times.
I did notice we were both close to each other.
Um,
You're ahead, but
I did get up to, I think, 17th place at one time this year, but I don't know where these people have come from. They're just all like, because I've been playing on average basically a Vayner a month this year, so I'm getting consistent points in the genre, but I keep getting passed by these people. I don't know where they're coming from. So right now I think I'm dropped back down to like 23rd. So I go up and then I get kicked back down again.
Yep.
But one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that in the Achievement Hunting 101 community, we're in year 2 of I've been running the Year of the Vayner challenge, where it's a challenge based on the Metroidvania leaderboards and score on the True Achievement website, and it takes into account all Metroidvanias that have that genre tag on it, and so I've been running that contest. We're in the middle of year 2, and we have a Vayner of the month every month where we have people submit what they want to be the Vayner of the month, and then we roll. We let the Discord bot roll and pick one through however many people submit, and that becomes a Vayner of the month, and that one's worth more score than other ones. So that's been fun, kind of tracking people's progress and seeing what Vayners they've been playing over recently. And I noticed that because this August Vayner of the month is Fist, which forged in Shadow Torch, which just came to Game Pass recently, either last month. I think it came in July.
I think
And
July.
so I'm playing that right now. I think I'm on story wise, I think I'm about halfway through. I was playing it this afternoon, and I saw that you completed it last month, or I know you completed it very recently.
I completed it like July 30th, something like that.
Yeah, like right before August, so it didn't count for the bonus points for August Vayner of the month. But what were your thoughts on Fist?
So I'm indifferent on Fist. It was not my favorite, not my worst Metroidvania type game. It focuses a lot on the combat, different combat styles. You basically have like three different ways that you like three different weapons almost, I guess is the best way to put it. So
Yeah,
your combat is very combo focused, and I don't really care for that. And then I thought every good Metroidvania has to have fast travel. I don't care what you say, it should have it. And Fist does not have great fast travel.
yeah,
It's few and far between on the travel points, and there's just not a lot on the map. And so you're going to have to go back and clean up a section, and that section may not have a fast travel point. So you have to go to a section nearby and then work your way up to that section just to get to it for cleanup purposes. So I thought it was like mid level. It's a mid level Metroidvania based off a bunch of them that I've played.
yeah. So one of the other things I forgot to mention is that on the games played leaderboard for having started Metroidvanias, you were number one for a while. You're number 3 currently. So you
Yeah.
have at least I know you've played through a lot of them, but you've at least started almost more than anyone else on Xbox. I plan to take that from you at some point.
I'm sure you will. I kind of got the wind knocked out of my sails when one of the top spots. It might not be the top one anymore. It might be number 2, but it was an alt account, and I was like, I really don't like that. So I kind of stopped. But yeah, I've
Oh,
started a
someone
lot.
else's alt?
Yeah, someone
Oh,
has an alt that they've started all the Vayners on, or most of them, and yeah, I didn't care for that, so I kind of like
okay.
lost the wind out of my sails for that one.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Fist. One thing that I do like about it is the like the art style. Because one thing I've mentioned in some of my other streams is that like so many of the Metroidvanias are all these pixel art games, which that's fine, but we don't have a lot of them that aren't pixel art that are still 2D side scrolling platformers. So anytime we've got one that is has a pretty nice art style is typically a bonus in my book. Like I know another one that I've heard good things about and I'm looking forward to playing at some point is Grime. Have you played
Mhm.
Grime yet?
I think I've started it. Maybe I haven't, but I have not played it, so not yet.
I've heard good things about that, and that one's not a pixel art.
Yeah, I will give Fist the trophy for the graphics. It's one of the best looking Vayners out there. So yeah, props to him for that.
Oh, and Paul says, "I'll show you my Vayner."
Hey, you can either pick like Vayner or Castleroid. Vayner just
Yeah,
kind of flows off the tongue a little better.
and less syllables, so it's easier to say.
Exactly.
So, um, it's not terribly long. The completion time, I think, is about 15 to 20 hours, the estimate for 100%. So if you're interested in just doing the story, you could knock a good chunk of that off. So um, there are probably other Vayners that we'd probably recommend before this one if you're not big in the genre. But if you played a lot of it, I would say, yeah, go ahead and you give it a shot. It's not a huge time sink if you are a completionist like we are. I'm enjoying it for the most part. It is. I don't remember if there was a difficulty select. Do you remember if there was a difficulty or
I think there is. I think it's just like easy and normal.
there
I
are no
think.
difficulty related achievements?
Yeah, none to worry about there.
So the game has not been very difficult. I think I've died twice in combat, maybe 3 times. But oh yeah, one thing that I was gonna say is Goosh. What's up? Koosh Moose is
Normal and
here.
hard.
There's normal and hard. Okay, so yeah, I'm playing on normal. But like one of my favorite Vayner's that is, side scrolling, that is not pixel art, is Shadow Complex. I love Shadow Complex.
That is my favorite one.
Yes. It like, people like usually talk pretty positive about it, but when talking about like favorite ones, like in Reddit and stuff, I don't think it gets the recognition it deserves. I think it's fantastic. It's one of my favorites.
I played Shadow Complex before I knew what Metroidvanias were, back on the 360, and it remains one of my top echelon Metroidvania games.
Yes, it is. It's because my favorite is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. But I'd say
Yeah.
Shadow Complex is probably second. Um, so, did you
Both,
do?
yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
I was gonna say all the Ori, both Oris. I'm looking at stacks, which are achievements that you can get on other platforms. But both Ori games are fantastic, and I would probably say the sequel is better than the original for me, as well. So yeah, good pick there.
For me, the main thing is the combat just is drastically better in Will of the Wisps over Blind Forest.
Yeah.
But shoot, was it? Oh, that's what I was going to say a minute ago. Is because Shadow Complex originally released as an Xbox Live Arcade game, and then it was re-released later on Xbox One as a remaster worth a full 1,000 gamer score with some significantly more difficult achievements. Did you do the remaster?
Yeah, I have the remaster done and dusted. It's amazing.
Nice. It's one of my highest ratio games. Let's Paul said, I can't believe my favorite Metroidvania isn't a technical Metroidvania. Oh, we were talking about it last week when he was on open mic, that his is
Mega
Salt
Man?
Salt and
Salt.
Sanctuary.
Oh yeah, see, I have that. I was actually gifted that. Never played it. It's not a Metroidvania, so I have no, no incentive to start it. I've heard good things though.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. It's often considered a Metroidvania, especially like in the Metroidvania subreddit. But on True Achievements, it does not have the Metroidvania genre tag, and so for us achievement hunters who are all about the the leaderboards and stuff, it doesn't count. So it's got that going against it, unfortunately.
Oh, I take it back. Apparently, I did start it. Played 3 minutes. I got at least one achievement. Do I need to put in a genre dispute for this?
Is there one? That would be great.
I can't see one, but yeah,
it's been on my wish list for a very long time because I've heard, I've heard good things about it. I do want to play it. It's never been on sale on the Xbox store.
This was one. I said I was gifted it. This was the first game I ever messed around with redeeming a code from another region. I participated in a Secret Santa in another Discord that was primarily UK people, and he gave me this code, and I had to figure out how to redeem it. And then I got it, and I'm like, okay, it's not. I'm just gonna pass.
Do the VPN trick.
Yeah.
I've done that because I've been able to. I know there's a website that a lot of people use to get games for super cheap from other countries. The digital codes. I think it's GameFlip. Is that right? Mm-hmm. I tried it once, but and I think Koosh tried to help me with it because I think I was messaging him about it, because you can't just spend money. You have to put money like on your wallet and then use your wallet to buy stuff. But in order to sign up for it and put money on your wallet, they need like a copy of your driver's license. I'm like, heck no, I'm not doing that. So I abandoned that. But I fortunately found that you can basically do the exact same thing for a lot of games on eBay. You can find digital copies of games on eBay for super cheap. So I after I found that out, I had like I was like right after birthday or Christmas or something. I was able to get I think I got 7 or 8 games for like $50 through eBay, through the VPN trick there. So I think I had to redeem them all through Argentina. But yeah, definitely recommend that if you are a frugal gamer like I am. So
I was just looking back through some of the older episodes, and you said you came in, you think around like the 70s or something like that.
Yeah, I want to say it was somewhere between episode 75 and 100 would be my guess.
Okay. So this is your second year doing the Year of the Vayner.
Year 2 of the Vayner.
We did Year of
which
the Vayner,
was inspired by Year of the Assassin, which Chewie ran.
Okay.
I think that was in 2020, and I think I won that because I spent that entire year doing nothing but Assassin's Creed games and all the stacks. So I
Yeah.
played a lot of Assassin's Creed that year, and that was what gave me the idea to do Year of the Vayner.
Yeah, this was the only year that the podcast officially did anything, and it like took off, but no other genre really fit. Like Metroidvanias just have like not too many games in the genre.
Yeah.
They're typically good games, and so like we could never duplicate that. But like we made a channel for it during the year, and like it just stuck. And I kind of did what you did. I ran numbers to see who completed how many how many games, and who did these games and whatnot. And somebody even made a parody song. I don't know if you've heard that.
I don't think so.
I'll have to link you the episode. Skeptical Mario did a recording of, it was, the song like let's see, is it I Didn't Start the Fire? You know that
Oh,
song?
yeah. Is it the one, I shot the sheriff? Is that the song?
It's like
I did not shoot the
something something
deputy.
something 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 like
Dark Side,
or
something, something
somebody didn't
complete.
start the fire.
Yeah, I know what
Something
song you're
like
talking
that.
about.
Anyways, he did a Metroidvania inspired parody of it. We didn't start the fire, Kush said. So
Okay.
it might be fun for you to look at
Yeah,
this.
I'll have to listen to that because I've not heard that. But yeah, Skeptical Mario, for those who don't know, was at the top of the Vayner leaderboard for a long time. Oh, they say it was Billy Joel.
There you go.
So we got two inputs from Kush and Paul. Paul's a big music guy. We talked about a lot of video game music last week, but yeah, Skeptical Mario was at the top of the leaderboard for a long time, but he recently got dethroned by Jay Huns. So he's at number one in almost all of the Vayner leaderboards now.
See, that's why I had to go for games played, because those guys are just too good at games. And also I have self-diagnosed ADD. I can't really, even though I like Metroidvanias, I can't come to play a game that I'm not having super fun with, because not all Vayners are the bee's knees.
Yeah, there's definitely
I won't,
some lower tier ones.
yeah, I won't just like force myself to go through them. I'm kind of past that point.
Did you play through Green, the Life Algorithm? Because that one is, in my opinion, the worst Vayner I think I've ever seen or played.
That is one I don't have the luxury of saying that I have done. I dived it, but have not played it.
It kind of duped me because it's got a 6 to 8 hour completion and it's a pretty low ratio. It's like, oh, this should be pretty easy. That game was god awful and so infuriating because it's broken on a technical level too.
I think I do remember that. Like you have to do it in one playthrough or session or something like that.
Essentially, the saves will randomly not work. So I played when I first started, I played like an hour of it, and then I picked it up the next day, and I played probably like 4 or 5 hours, and I would say I probably got about 75% of the way through the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the save stopped working, and the last save I had was about halfway through the game, so I lost about 25% of my progress. And then when I came back the next day, I was like way back, and I played through a bunch more, and then it wasn't until the next day where I realized the saves were broken. I thought it was just like a glitch, but I came back again. I had lost all my progress again, back to about halfway point. And then I went looking in forums and stuff. People like, yeah, the saves are broken and stuff. So basically, you have to play at least for me, because the save that was working was about halfway through the game, so I had to play the entire second half of the game in one sitting in order to beat it. But I've heard that other people like it won't save at all. You have to start from the beginning of the game. And the boss that I got stuck on is one that you're constantly going up because like the bottom of the level is like on fire and you're going up, and you start out, I think, on top of the boss shooting down at it, and then it flips and it's above you and you're trying to shoot up at it. And I'm like, how do you beat this thing? Because it didn't seem like it was taking damage. There's nothing indicating to you that the way to beat it is you just have to ride it out and just stay alive. You can't actually kill it. And you just have to keep going until the fight ends. But there's nothing indicating that. And you fall and you die instantly. It was infuriating. Such a poorly designed game. There was
Yeah.
a bunch of things that you could change to tweak it to at least bump up it. 'Cause I think I rated it like a 0.5 out of 5. There's a few easy things you could tweak on the development would at least bump it up to like a 1.5 or a 2. So I definitely wouldn't recommend green. Do not play green.
Even I know better on that one.
But yeah, so some of the stuff I was going to say about Fist is I'm enjoying it for the most part. I do like that it is not pixel art. Like you said, there's basically 3 main weapons you can switch between once you unlock them. You start out with the fist, then you get the drill, and then you get like this electrical arm, which I just got that today, and allows you to use grapple points.
I like that one because you can do that with enemies too, like midair.
But it seems like the drill is the best for combat. It's slow, but there's all these like long multiple hit combos, so you can really wreck stuff.
Yeah, I think I had the drill equipped the most.
Me too. And thanks to, let's see here, someone was in the Discord having some issues with some certain point. I don't think I've reached that point in the game yet. But I think it was Play Ultimate was having some trouble because he's a pretty hardcore guy, and he's pretty good, and he was playing it and hadn't upgraded anything because it was so easy, and he got stuck at this point where he's basically between a rock and a hard place because you need some of these upgrades to, like, I think it was a portion you need to do really quickly, and he didn't have the upgrades to do it. I think he finally figured out a way because I think he was locked in a where you couldn't go back to spend upgrades. So I don't think I've reached that point yet, but thanks to his suggestion, I have been upgrading and spending my currency on upgrades as soon as I have them. So I hopefully don't run into that when I come to that point, or maybe I passed it and it was so easy because I had the upgrades I didn't even know it. But yeah, he's a pretty top tier guy. He plays some of the hardest stuff. I don't, because one of the hardest, but I've heard is also a fantastic Vayner that I'm definitely looking forward to playing at some point, but it is very long, and for the completion is very difficult, is Turn Noctis.
I know you were going to say that one.
I know. I remember you talking about it on the podcast a while back that you would put a little bit of time into it.
Yeah, that was one I reviewed for that website, and like I'm looking at TA, says I put in over 11 hours, which I normally would put in more in a game, but that one was like, it is so like daunting, and it can be tough on you if you die. You'll lose a lot of progress, and I think that's what it was. It kind of just got me, and like I mentioned, if I'm not having fun with a game, I won't push myself to keep on with it. I'll move on.
Okay. Now, does that game? I think that game has a lot of Souls-like aspects to it, right? When you die, you have to make it back to your point to recover your stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, I think if I recall correctly, there was a currency that you carried, and if you died, I don't remember if you lost all of it, but you probably lost a good chunk of it. And you would have to go and get your essence back, kind of like Hollow Knight, if I recall.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's like that.
So yeah, and it could, and the save points, if I recall, in Turn Noctis, at least at launch, I think it's been updated. I don't know if this is the same or not. It could be a good chunk of the map away.
They're pretty spread out
from when you respawn. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard, yeah, because the completion estimate is, I think, over 100 hours. It's a very difficult game. So there's an achievement for basically beating each boss of the game without taking any damage, and there's a lot. I haven't watched many videos of it, but I'm pretty sure there is it's very Hollow Knight-esque in combat, so it's very difficult to do these fights without getting hit. I think there's only 2 or 3 completions at this point. So, but I've heard lots of good stuff about it, so I'm looking forward to playing it at some point.
Yeah.
So, okay.
See, that's all achievement hunting is, just a meta game. You played a contest, you played some people played a gamer score, some people play to what they like. It's just, that's the beauty of it. Unfortunately, some people like to put in your way is not the right way, but there's so many different avenues you could take with it. It's fine either way.
Yeah, just within achievement hunters, there's so many different types of achievement hunters, and especially with the debate that's been going on basically since the Subnautica thing on console commands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a bummer when the console commands were discovered in Subnautica because I lost a bunch of ratio, and then a bunch of people completed it just by basically skipping through the game. I don't really have a problem with that, especially since it is a single player game. It's not like you're cheating other people. It's just I think the Subnautica games are so fantastic. I think anyone who used the console commands to skip through the game is really cheating themselves out of an excellent experience.
Yeah. Yeah, there's multiple sides to that coin. Yeah, and
Which is
unfortunately, like even
also why I'm not doing doing it on grounded, because I want to experience that game. But there are other games that I have zero interest in, which I'll use the console commands for, which I've done. But yeah, go ahead.
And unfortunately, like the whole point of TA was getting a different number attached to your online persona that indicated usually like your skill. That has fallen by the wayside for in recent years with title updates and console commands and things like that. But I mean, hopefully the way that anybody does it, they just had fun doing it their way. I think it does suck for original people who quote unquote suffered. It may have been tough, but like you said, you had fun, and you wouldn't take back that experience. But you did lose some stuff in the process when those were discovered.
Yeah, like I think this is one of the topics that I have for party chat at some point. But I think I've mentioned it before a couple times, is that like Subnautica is one of those games where I wish I could wipe from my memory so I could experience it for the first time again.
Yeah. Yeah, those when you find those games, like I wish I could do that with Shadow Complex, because I love
I would do that for Shadow Complex as well. That's such a great game. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, did you just link that to the song to me from Mario?
It's the whole podcast, but the song's in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll listen to that episode again and see if it rings any bells. So, okay. Well, that pretty much covers all the stuff that I kind of had on the docket to talk about. Is there anything that you had in mind you wanted to talk about?
I put on the spot. I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, I got.
I was gonna say Paul can't wait for Subnautica.
Paul can't wait. Yeah, because I was talking to him about it last week, and I was mentioning it to him because he's been streaming Grounded the last couple of days, and I've been in his chat, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm interested in it," but like a couple people I've talked to and have had on the show here, I've tried to kind of like, you should play it, but a lot of times they're like, a lot of people have I see this. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but I see it on the Subnautica Reddit, which is basically the only thing I'm on Reddit for is for Subnautica. And I see this all the time because it's one of the big things that keeps a lot of people from playing the game is, I think it's called like thalassophobia. And it's basically the fear of like large open water spaces.
I probably have that without really knowing it. Like I'll get in the ocean, but like if I have to think about it, like I don't want to be in like deep, dark water.
Yeah, it can be very, very harrowing, especially on your first playthrough when you don't know where stuff is. Most stuff and sea life kind of sticks to certain areas. So once you kind of get to know where they are, you can know whether you have anything to worry about, attacking you or whatnot. Hey, what's up, Nerdporeal Lifeform? Thanks for joining us. He was on my party chat not this last Saturday, but the Saturday before that. Welcome. But I definitely, it was very eerie the first time I was playing Subnautica, especially at night when you're deep underwater. It's what I do now, basically every time I play it, is I do use the console commands now that I've beaten it all legit. But basically, the only thing I use the console commands for is to control the time of day. So anytime it gets dark, I just reset it back to morning. So I can basically always be playing during the day. Because even though I've beaten the game like 6 or 7 times, it still can be a little creepy.
Yeah. Now, do you have thoughts on if the sequel Below Zero is better or not?
Okay. Yeah. So I was actually just talking to someone about, I think it was Horny Elf that was in chat earlier while he was streaming Subnautica earlier today. I was in his chat, and I was telling him a little bit about Below Zero because he hasn't played it. So Below Zero by most people is considered not as good as the original, but still pretty good. I definitely would, if you like the first one, I definitely recommend playing Below Zero. One of the cool things was that some of the items that they added into Below Zero were like quality of life improvements.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually backported a lot of those into the original Subnautica. They had a big update. I think it came out in January, so they backported a lot of those items that were quality of life upgrades into the original game earlier this year, like the big room, because initially there's just the multi-purpose room, which is round room, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not terribly big. And you just would have to put those all over the place if you wanted more space. But they added in Below Zero, they added the big room, which is long, and it's basically, I would say, about the size of 6 multi-purpose rooms. And so they backported that into the original Subnautica, and that was a really nice upgrade. But the one thing that they didn't backport into the original Subnautica that is one of the best items, in my opinion, is called the Recyclotron, which because you find crafting materials in the world, and then you use the fabricator. It's basically a 3D printer. You use those materials to craft something else, but there's no way to break them back down into the components that you originally used to create them. So one of the main things you do a lot of is creating titanium ingots, which is made up of 10 pieces of titanium. So, and you have very limited inventory space. So if you know you're going to be building something in the future, you may throw your 10 titanium pieces into a titanium ingot, because that only takes up one space of inventory versus the 10 that are each individual one takes up. And you can throw that in storage, but you can only use that to build something that requires titanium ingots. But the Recyclotron, you can break that back down into the original 10 pieces of titanium it took to build it. So you could throw all your titanium together into an ingot and then store it, and then you can break it back down into the 10 pieces so you can use that to craft and not take up as much storage space. So that's one of the best things that they added in Below Zero that they did not backport. But it's the Below Zero is a smaller game, so it doesn't take as long. But I definitely would recommend playing both. They are both great games.
It only takes 30 minutes to 1 hour, right?
So if you're not using console commands, the original Subnautica is about a 60-hour completion if you don't know anything. If you know what you're doing and you're going in, say you're playing it on a second tag, that hasn't played it. My last playthrough that I just completed earlier this week was the first time I did a hardcore playthrough, which is permadeath.
Oh.
So I beat it, and you'll, except for I think one achievement you have to kind of go out of your way to get, but if you're playing through the game, you'll get all but probably one achievement just naturally playing through it in the first one. And that, without knowing what you're doing, it's about a 60-hour completion. If you know what you're doing, my hardcore playthrough took me about 20 hours, since I played it a bunch of times and I know the game pretty well. The initial playthrough on Below Zero, if you don't know what you're doing, is probably about 25 to 30 hours. So it's a significantly smaller play space. The first game is pretty much almost all in the water. There's only 2 small islands that you ever go on land. Below Zero actually has probably, I'd say, maybe like a quarter of the map is on land. So you actually do walk around significantly more than you do in the first one. You actually have what's called a snow fox, which is like a little hover bike that you use to get around. The main difference between the two is, in the first game, you're in a very tropical part of the planet, because they both take place on the same planet but at different times. But in the first game, it is in a tropical area, so you never have to worry about temperature. Although when you're deep down, when you're in your sea moth, which is the main vehicle used to get around, it'll show you the temperature of the water, but you don't have to worry about temperature at all. In Below Zero, it's kind of funny that they added a temperature element, but the temperature only comes into play when you're on land. When you're in water, you're worrying about your oxygen. When you're on land, you're worrying about your temperature and not freezing to death, because it's in an Arctic climate. And there are like these a lot of you can get a snowsuit which increases the amount of time you can spend on land without freezing.
Mm-hmm.
But until you get that, when you are on land, there's these like flowers on the wall that are basically like large heat lamps that you use to stay alive when you need to get around places and not freeze to death. So that's one of the big changes. And the other main change is that in the first one, there's three main vehicles that, well, your first vehicle is your Sea Glide, which is basically a little thing you hold on to. But your
Right.
actual vehicles, you get your Sea Moth, very maneuverable, and use it for most of the game. Then the other two is your Cyclops, which is your big submarine, and then the Prawn suit, which is basically like a mech suit that you can use, and you have to build a drill arm so you can drill certain elements. But in the Below Zero, they still have the Prawn suit, which is the mech suit, but there's no Cyclops and there's no Sea Moth. There is the Sea Truck, which is kind of like the Sea Moth,
Mm-hmm.
but you can add on all these different modules to it that it gets longer, but there's all these different modules. So it basically plays the role of both the Sea Moth and the Cyclops rolled into one.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say Subnautica is one of your favorite games.
It's definitely one of my favorite, probably one of my top favorite games in the last decade, for sure. I love it.
I recall seeing a speed run of it. They probably did the thing in like an hour on one of the GDQs.
I was just thinking about that earlier this week. I was like, I wonder what a speed run of this game is. I should go check that out because I would love to see what they do, because I don't even know how you could possibly do it in an hour. But I'd love to see if they're using glitches or whether it's like they're doing it legit.
Is that something that you'd be interested in trying?
Yeah, probably, because I just, like I said, I love playing Subnautica. Anytime I'm like, I'll play it for like 20 minutes, then I end up playing through the whole game again. But there are some. I've never really tried like speedrunning any games except for one of the common things in Metroidvania games is a lot of them have a speedrun achievement.
Yeah.
So I'll go for those if there's an achievement for it. But anything that doesn't have an achievement tied to it, probably not going to. But I could definitely see trying to speedrun Subnautica. That'd be interesting. Add a new element to it and make it interesting.
Yeah, it could probably be a dangerous rabbit hole if you get really into it. It's like, I'm a speedrunner now, not an achievement hunter. You can't really be both sometimes.
But yeah, I was talking about both the original and Below Zero, which is the sequel. There is talks that they're working on a third one, but we haven't really heard anything about it yet. Nerdport hasn't had a lot of time to play games lately. Bummer. But he's been busy on his channel. He's been plugging away. Yeah, a lot of games don't excite me anymore. The direction most franchises are going, I can't follow. Zelda being an example. Yeah, he came on. He was talking about how he was very disappointed with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom because it took a drastically different direction than the other Zelda games have been in the past. And Elden Ring, similar thing. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, lately I've been like, what sounds good? I'm like looking through all these games that I have in my backlog that I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, none of these sound interesting. I'm just going to play Subnautica.
I definitely get decision paralysis with just looking at the games, the library. I'm just like, sometimes I will just not play a game that night because I can't figure out which one I want to play.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole Netflix thing. It's like scrolling through like what to watch and then never actually watching anything.
Yeah, and especially like my gamester partner, he is what you would consider a whale in the achievement hunting community.
Okay.
Literally thousands of games in my library. And so you're just looking at it, and like, unless you have a plan, it for me, it's like staring at a wall.
You
like
said
it happened to me last night.
That was
couldn't figure out what
Elroy?
to play. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. When we did 1 list, 2 list, it was funny because he's like, he hasn't played like any of the mainline franchise. Like he's like, I haven't played Half-Life or Halo or Mass Effect or like all these big franchises. Like, oh my god, dude, what have you played?
Yeah, he'll buy the quick gamer score games with no hesitation. I might get the odd one here or there, but I'll buy like the medium to sometimes big games. And yeah, it works out really well in that relationship.
So, so Subnautica is basically an open world survival exploration crafting game. There's very little dialogue in it because there's no other people in the game. It's just you. You're the game opens with your spaceship crashing and you're trying to survive. The only dialogue in the game is basically audio recordings, and your PDA talks to you and stuff. So there's very little dialogue, so there's not a lot of sound. But there is some really good music in it. It's very subtle. But yeah, it's an easy game to stream and kind of keep up with the chat, because there's not a lot of like second to second stuff going on, unless you're getting chased by some monster that's trying to kill you. But it's a great game to stream and kind of chat with your audience if you have some. So it is on, as far as I know, Subnautica is on every platform. And if you do play it, I will, as long as I can, I would be in your stream, and I'd be talking to you and guiding you through it if you wanted to. Because anytime I see someone that I know streaming Subnautica, I will happily hop in and watch them and chat with them. Miss the days when I rented one game at a time. Most games just gather dust on my shelf. Yep. Or gather digital dust in your backlog and not getting played.
Yeah, and now you can't even you can't hide them in your library with the fear of oh, it's gonna get a title update, then I gotta go find it again.
Yeah, especially with the easy gamer score ones, they definitely get title updates all the time.
Yeah, I was hiding them as I was completing them, and at some point I just stopped. I was like, this is more work than some of these games I'm playing.
It's like, go find it, re-download it, install it, and play it for 5 minutes to get that new title update so I can get the completion back.
Right.
It's kind of funny because I'm at 510 completions right now, and it took me probably about 15 completions to get from 500 to 510 because there were like 5 games that all got title updates like all within the same amount of time. So I had to go back, and I haven't even completed some of them again. But yeah, a bunch of them got title updates. Like, would you stop it?
Yeah, now this is a True Achievements thing. Do you track your stats, including all DLC?
Oh yeah, if you're not tracking DLC, it doesn't count in my book.
Okay.
So Nerdporial is wondering if you have a channel. I don't believe he does. Do you?
No. I hail from the Achievement Hunting 101 community. They have a podcast that I used to be on. I took a step away from it, but I do go on there occasionally, including this past week. And then I'll do Xbox game reviews for a site called Xbox Tavern, but no solo stuff really.
But yeah, Nerdporial, if you stream Subnautica, as long as I'm able to, I will definitely be there with you watching it, because I'm a mod on his channel. I think, what was it you were playing? I think you were doing Super Metroid. You're doing a lot of Mega Man games, which are some of my favorites. So I was in those streams a lot, chatting with him all the time.
You had a recent party chat, I think, about Mega Man. I've tried to get into Mega Man, and it seems fun but tough. And there's one Mega Man that might be Metroidvania related, right?
Yeah, so I would say that the classic Mega Man games are probably more difficult than the Mega Man X
and
games.
I think that's where I started out, where I tried to, and that may have been a mistake.
My favorite is the Mega Man X franchise, particularly Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3, which are all on Super Nintendo games. Those are my favorites.
Okay.
But I love the Mega Man X series. Not that I have anything against the classic series. It's just I grew up on the X series. I have played all of the original ones as well, but I like the X series better. But yeah, if you were to, I would definitely recommend, if you didn't grow up on the nostalgia of the original Mega Man games, I would probably recommend starting with the Mega Man X games.
I think Zero are the ones that might be
Mega Man Zero. So there's Zero, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are Game Boy Advance games, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And those ones are just like the regular Mega Man games, are action platformers.
Okay.
But they can be as easy or as difficult as you want them to be, because there's things called cyber elves that you can equip as you find them that give you more powers that make the game easier. So you can get them and then just not use them and make the game really hard, or you can use them and make the game much easier.
Okay.
But the Metroidvania-esque games are Mega Man ZX and ZX Advent are, for all intents and purposes, are Metroidvanias. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
Not great in my book. I'd have to go and look at my achievements. I think I beat ZX and I started working on ZX Advent, or maybe I know one of them. I got through a good chunk of the game and I just couldn't figure out where to go, so I never finished it. That was my biggest issue with it, is you have no idea where you need to go to do any of this stuff, and they could have made some very slight tweaks to make it a much better game. But yeah, ZX and ZX Advent, which are DS games, are Metroidvania-esque.
Yeah, and I just kind of looking at that while we were talking about it. Apparently, the one that I did start was Mega Man X Legacy Collection.
Yeah,
And
I got
I've,
that day one.
yeah, I've only put in a few hours. Apparently, I have a 2 ratio achievement. And shout outs to you, because you have the only solution for it.
I do have a lot of solutions for Mega Man X Legacy Collection.
Yeah.
Do you know which one that was?
Complete all X challenge stages.
Okay.
Yeah. You made a recommendation to play on easy, and then take a ton of damage.
Yeah. When you put it on, I don't know if it applies to the challenges, but I know when you're playing through the Legacy Collection, you can put it on Rookie Hunter mode, which makes it super easy. I don't know if that also applies to the challenge mode, but I do remember that there was a difficulty setting, and when you're on the easier difficulty, you can take a lot of damage, because those challenges, playing it normally, can be very difficult since you're fighting 2 bosses at a time.
Sure.
But to answer your question, Nerdporial, the podcast he used to be on regularly, not as much anymore, is the Achievement Hunting 101 podcast. So it's very Xbox centric. But yes, Mega Man is awesome. And he says that the classic games are easier than the X series. Interesting. I think the opposite. But the classic series is consistent, no bad games. Yeah. The X series is less consistent. X 1, 2, and 3 are my favorites. I was looking through, I don't know if it was the subreddit or but I saw some discussion about Mega Man just like within the last day or two. And it was on Twitter. There was a discussion about Mega Man, and a lot of people were saying their favorite was X4, which they totally changed the style, the art style, and changed the type of game. I mean, it's still an action platformer, but X4, like I said, X1, 2, and 3 were Super Nintendo games. X4 was a PlayStation game, so then it was a new generation. So they totally like redesigned it from the ground up. And I didn't like it quite as much as the original X1 through 3 trilogy, but it is still a good game. 4 is a good game. 5 is okay. 6 is not great. 7 is awful. So I would recommend skipping that one. And then X8 was pretty decent. And the reason why 7 is terrible is because they went into a 3D environment where all the other ones are all 2D side-scrolling platformers. X7 was 3D, so you can move the camera around, and Mega Man just doesn't, at least not in the way that they did it, doesn't really belong in 3D space. Maybe in the Legends games. I know Mega Man Legends 1 and 2 are very popular, and those take place in the 3D plane, but it was more well built for a 3D space. I haven't actually really played them. But yeah, you could skip 7. But yeah, the classic series is more consistent. They're pretty much all good. And start with 2. Yeah, a lot of people start with 1, and I think they kind of nope out at that point. 2 is from what I've heard. I have played them all. I just don't remember a lot of the early ones. But from all the people who I've talked to who are big on the classic series, say that 2 is easier to start with than 1 is. 0 is a sequel to the X series, and X is my first Mega Man game. It was mine as well. And split the difference, play ZX, says Koosh.
Well, there's definitely no shortage of Mega Man games, that's for sure.
Yeah, the only one of the classic series I haven't played is the most recent one, Mega Man 11, because that one just came out a few years ago, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. And they kind of added some new elements and mechanics to the game, like the ability to like slow down time. There's like these 2 different gears you can use one of them slows down time, and the other one I don't remember what it does, but it's a new mechanic that's never been in any of the other Mega Man games. I've heard it's decent, but probably not as good as the other games in the classic series. And 7, Nerdporial says 7 is great, which was because I think 1 through 6 were all NES games. 7 was a Super Nintendo game. But funny enough, it came out after Mega Man X.
Really?
Yeah. Mega Man X was the first one on Super Nintendo. Mega Man 7 came out after X. And he hasn't played ZX. 11 is... okay. Nerd Pearl's played Mega Man 11. 11 is tough. I have not played it yet, but I have it. So, but yeah, my first stream on my channel was talking about Mega Man for 2 hours. So you could, yeah, you want to hear more Mega Man talk, you can go check that stream out. But let's see here. Do you have anything that you think you're going to be working on soon?
Yes.
Or do you just pick what you go by the seat of your pants?
So right now, my gaming season of life, and really it's been like this way for a long time. I like to play the new shiny stuff. I will get distracted with the new stuff that comes out. And so it's actually hard for me to go back. And September, or no, we're in August 2023 is one of the best months I've ever seen in games. Let me see. I got to go back and see what the previous few days have come out. But like, Oceanhorn 2 just got released for Xbox. It's been out on it's been on mobile, but the first Oceanhorn was like a Wind Waker type game. Like,
okay.
I think that's the inspiration. So and I loved it. This one is just the sequel, and it's more. I've only dived it, but it's more free roaming 3D. So it seems like Twilight Princess Breath of the Wild is what they're kind of going for.
Okay.
But definitely some good puzzles on that.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
I like Zelda.
If you could probably find the first one for super cheap. This one again just came out.
Are they both on Xbox?
They are now. Yeah, the second one just came out.
Okay.
I might get around to Stray. That just came out today.
Oh, I was gonna say I know that was coming out soon. I heard good things about that from the PlayStation people.
Yeah, it's by Annapurna, so they have
played a lot of Annapurna games.
Yeah, they have a good reputation. Moving Out 2 is a sequel to a game that I really, really loved.
You were talking about that on the podcast this week.
Yeah, it comes out in
oh yeah,
5
you were
days.
playing it early because you got the review copy.
And I got a review copy, and it's just more of the same. It's exactly what a sequel should be.
Did you do it solo or did you play it with a group? Because I know that's a big, like a fun party game, like Overcooked sort of thing.
Yeah. This is it is multiplayer online for this iteration. I have not been able to play with people yet, so I look forward to that. I did complete it, or the story as much as that goes. So I'm actually sometimes I will chase first completions on TA. I will say that I don't like to count them if I get games early, or at least if I had like this one came out, I've had it for a while, so it definitely I would not want to brag about that. So I think I'm actually going to be setting it aside for a bit because I think too much of a good thing can happen, and so I'll be interested to definitely go back with some friends. The only thing is it's kind of expensive, and it's not going to be on Game Pass, at least that we know of. So I think it will come eventually, but yeah, that is a good one. And then to wrap out the month,
just real quick there.
Yeah.
Good night, Nerdporial. Glad you were able to join us. And he said that Wind Waker, although he originally said Wild Water, phone autocorrect was great. If you want to hear me talk about Zelda and Wind Waker, go check out Open Mic with Melee Games from a couple weeks ago. We talked a lot about Zelda.
Hey, nice to meet you too, Nerdporial. And then like rounding out the month, you got WrestleQuest, which got delayed a few weeks, and Sea of Stars. I am totally going to be into both of those.
What is Sea of Stars? I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about the game.
It is a prequel to The Messenger.
Oh, that one. Okay. Because
Yes.
when I heard about that last week, I'm like, oh, Messenger related. Messenger was a pretty good Metroidvania. And then I went and looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's basically like old Final Fantasy VII RPG. I lost all interest.
So I don't play Final Fantasy. I don't really play a lot of RPGs. I don't play any JRPGs.
Yeah, I don't like JRPGs, and I don't like turn-based combat. So it immediately lost my interest. I was hoping it was going to be another Metroidvania.
It's not. What the Messenger is basically a Ninja Gaiden. This is like Chrono Trigger, from what I understand, which I have no backstory of. The only driving interest
Nerdporio
is
could probably talk about Chrono Trigger for hours.
Oh, maybe he should. You said he does a show too?
Yeah, he's got his channel. He's been around for a few years. He's got
Okay.
a couple thousand subs, but he when he was on Party Chat, he talked about some Chrono Trigger.
I'll have to go back. So the Sea of Stars, the ties to the Messenger is the only thing that's driving me to it. So I am looking forward to trying out that genre, I guess, to really like sink my teeth into. Hopefully it doesn't turn me away in the first 30 minutes. We'll have to see.
Okay.
And then there is another game coming out this month that a bunch of our people are looking forward to, but I'm not, and that's Blasphemous 2.
Oh, okay. I
So,
won't be playing. Like, I don't ever buy anything new, so I probably won't be buying it until I can get it on sale at some point. So I won't be playing it anytime soon. But I am definitely looking forward to playing that because I played Blasphemous 1 earlier this year because I have to go back and look, but I think it was Vayner of the Month in February. I'm pretty sure it was Vayner of the Month in February, but I didn't finish it in February. I finished it in early March, I think.
okay.
But I did because I originally bought it and I started it a couple years ago due to a video from one of my Party Chat hosts, Mark the Cyborg. He made a video on it a few years back and inspired me, so I bought it and played it, and I wasn't really feeling it. But earlier this year, when I actually got into it, once I really got into it, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, even just coming out of September or August, just a little bit. You have Starfield, which I'm definitely going to jump into.
I won't be playing that for a while, but I definitely am looking forward to playing it at some point.
And then one that's been on the radar, but it has a September 1st release date. I thought this was going to be like a Switch exclusive. I'm looking at an article that was written just 1 week ago, and it's saying that Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is coming. And so that's blowing my mind right now. This is like breaking news.
What
for
is
me.
that?
This is
it a Bomberman clone?
No, this is a spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio.
Oh, okay. I never played that, but I hear people there's so much nostalgia for that game. I know a lot of people love that game. So
yeah, I'm about to share this news in the Discord. So that's blowing my mind. All these games are just coming out in the next few weeks. So that's where my mind's going to be at. My time is limited, so I will probably this would probably satisfy me for the next several months, but I'll be picking one of them. And WrestleQuest comes out first in that list besides Stray, so I'll probably be getting that and seeing where it takes me.
I was going to mention WrestleQuest because I'm assuming it's a wrestling game.
Yep,
it's
wrestling
funny
RPG.
Wrestling RPG. Okay, that sounds interesting. Was that? I feel like I heard someone talk about this game recently. Did someone talk about it on the podcast the other night?
It would not surprise me if L, who is one of the hosts who loves wrestling, has mentioned it. It's made by the people who've made other games that we've liked. So it has some promise of being good, although reviews are coming back as mediocre, like 7s to 7.5s. So we'll see. I even though I review games, I don't really take into account what other people think. I like
as
to make
a reviewer
my own.
Should, or more accurately, shouldn't.
Yeah, I like to make my own thoughts about a game. So whether it's coming back mediocre, somebody's going to love that game, and that could be me.
But yeah, it's what I was gonna say is it's funny that you mentioned WrestleQuest because literally, like, it seems like everybody I've had on my channel has like a background of just like loving wrestling. I've never really like been into wrestling, but it comes up on literally every stream at some point. It seems it's kind of funny.
I watched it in middle school and I got out of it for some reason. Probably thought it wasn't cool. Like, oh, that's fake. And then I somehow watched this year's like WrestleMania, and I've watched every single WWE show since. So it's like drugged me back in. I don't know why.
That's funny. Yeah, I watched. I was into it for about a year, just because my roommate in college was into it, so I watched it with him. We went to one of the wrestling events when it came into town. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I've never really been into it. That was the first time I'd ever really even seen any wrestling. Was in in college, so I don't have the nostalgia for it. It's just funny how it like seems like everyone I talk to just like loves it and comes up on every stream.
I'm amazed every time I see like the amount of fans and like you would think like there's a stereotype for a wrestling fan, but no, they're all ages, sizes, genders. It's crazy.
So once I finish Fist, I think, assuming I don't think I'm going to finish it before we find out the end of the month Game Pass leaving games. So I bet by the time I finish it, that'll probably be announced. And then if, depending on what gets announced there, I may have to panic play something. But as long as, assuming that nothing I'm planning on playing is in the announcements of games leaving Game Pass at the end of the month, I'm going to go back to working on Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which I started last month and just have gotten distracted by the Ascent. And then I started working on Fist because it's Vayner of the Month. So I'm probably going to go back and work on Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yeah, it's nice when you don't have to panic play.
Yeah. And then I think one of the things I was going to bring up, I think I had it on the docket for the last party chat, but I didn't get around to it or something, was games that I'm looking forward to. So you kind of just went through games that you're looking forward to. I am looking forward to playing Starfield at some point. I won't be playing it at launch, but I am definitely looking forward to playing it at some point.
Is that a time thing, or you think it's going to be buggy, or you just too much to do?
Yeah, I've got so many things in the backlog I'm trying to get to. I'm expecting that it's probably going to launch in somewhat of a buggy state, Bethesda has that reputation.
Yep.
But the number one thing is that I've kind of briefly mentioned it to some of the other people I've had on the show, talking about like, oh yeah, I'm planning on playing this game, is that I'm still working on recovering my bean dive from 2019.
Okay.
Because I think I kind of went into it a little bit with Paul Hadouken last week. But for anyone who's not familiar with a bean dive, the concept is in the True Achievement community, you start a bean dive. And the reason why it's called a bean dive is because of the guy who came up with the concept. His gamer tag is Bean Potter. So the concept is called a bean dive, where all of the games in your backlog that you want to play, you get the first achievement in it, and you get that in however many games you're adding to your dive. Then you close out your dive, and then you start playing those games and try to work your completion percentage back to where it was initially. So they do an event, an actual like True Achievement sanctioned event every July for the Bean Dive. I've never actually participated in the official event in July, but you can go and start one whenever you want. So I did one. The first one I did was in like September or August of 2018. I did about 25 games or so, and I recovered that by like spring of 2019. And then I did a big one with like 130 games, and then I closed it. But since then, I've added probably like another 200 plus games on top of that after I closed it. So it's been taking me years to recover, and I've been putting everything off unless it's something I need to panic play because it's leaving Game Pass. I'm like, I'm not starting any more games until I recover that dive, and then I'm going to be doing another dive with like a lot of stuff. So that's the main reason I'm not playing Starfield at launch, is once I get to recover my dive, then I'll be adding all these games and I'll be playing tons of different stuff at that point.
Gotcha.
So my completion percentage is because I've always been pretty high, because I've always been a completionist. I try to get as much as I can in any game. So when I joined True Achievements back in like, let's see here, it says I'm on year like 14. So that'd be like 2009, I think. I probably joined and I was probably at 90% completion. Oh yeah, I joined in April of 2009. So I was probably around 90% completion. And then the dive I'm currently on, I was at 91.3%. I'm currently at 85.3% completion. So slowly making my way up. I've got about 1,400 more achievements to recover that completion, and then I'll be doing a big dive. I'll be adding all the Metroidvanias I've been backlogging, plus a ton of other games. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get to that before the end of the year, because I was planning on reaching that point like 2 years ago, but I'm still working on it because it's taken longer than I anticipated.
Sure, yeah. What's your gamer score at? Just curious.
I am just about to hit 675.
Okay.
I'm at 674, 548. So by the time I finish Fist, I'll be at 675,000.
Nice.
So, so on the open mic, I think 2 weeks ago with Melee Games, he added me on Xbox, and he was saying like Neo's got like 40 billion points this month. And I had like 4,000 last month when he added me. And I was like, it's funny that you say that, because most people who aren't dedicated achievement hunters probably don't have huge gamer scores like we do. So when they see like 675,000 gamer scores, they're like, holy crap. And I'm like, let me put it in perspective. Most of the guys in my AH101 community have significantly more than me. So I think I was looking at years earlier. You're at like 1 point something million.
Yeah. After I hit the million, I just playing what I want. I've slowed down. I'm just going back through. Like, I don't think I hit under 5,000 in like July 2017. Like, it just, and that was like the low month of the year. It
That was
just,
the last time you got less than 5,000 in a month.
I think so. Oh well, no, July. Yeah, I got 2,400. Wow, really low. But I played 24 games. July, I probably bean dove a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, and in July that would make sense. Yeah.
So,
I have a goal set for hitting 1 million. I'm not like in a race to get there, but I know I'll get there at some point. But yeah, definitely once I hit 1 million, I'll probably really relax on a lot of the stuff and kind of just play what I want to when I want to, rather than focusing on like trying to complete everything that I play.
right.
Yeah, Paul's like, dang, my gamer score is only 70K. That's still pretty good for someone who's not like a hardcore dedicated Xbox person. But one of the other things I was going to mention for anybody who, if you are an Xbox person and you're not on True Achievements, even if you're not big into like achievement hunting and stuff, there's a lot of reasons that you should join. I haven't done any videos on my channel. It's just been live streams talking to people, but I've got some ideas for some videos to make, and one of them is like why you should join True Achievements. Even if you're not into achievement hunting, there's a lot of good things that are good reasons to join True Achievements if you're an Xbox person. One of them is for like the number one thing I'd recommend to anybody is wish list. So you can add games to your wish list and it'll notify you when they go on sale. So that's a really cool thing. And the other cool thing is they often do a lot of events. Like we mentioned earlier, G-Task is one of the events that they do every year. Currently, we are in bingo, which has been pretty cool, where it assigns you a bingo card of game genres. And in order to fill out your bingo card, you got to get achievements in games that fit those genres. So I think you blacked out your card. Is that right?
I did. Yeah. Just like, I think on August 3rd.
Oh, like you were on it, on top of it.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 bingos. I planned out games that I could do the blackout, and I could do it all with games that I've started, except for one. The one genre that I don't have any games uncompleted so far is I got the management genre on my bingo card, and I have not I haven't played very many management games, but all the ones that I have, I've completed. So I'd have to start a new game in order to get that genre. So I was like, I think I'm going to get one more bingo, and then I think I'm going to be good. But a lot of fun events. My favorite and most people's favorite is the 12 Days of Christmas they do every December. Is a lot of fun where day one you have to get one achievement that meets some criteria. It's different every year, and then the next day you have to get 2 achievements that meet that criteria. Up until day 12 you have to get 12 achievements that meet that criteria, but you have until the end of the month to complete it. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on True Achievements as well, even if you're not huge into achievement hunting. So yeah, I just wanted to bring up the bingo thing because that's been kind of cool. So yeah, well, I think we're just at about 2 hours. Cool.
Nice.
So I think that kind of wraps it up for tonight, unless there's anything else that you wanted to talk about before we sign off here.
I don't have anything particular. Nope. Been fun though.
Cool. Well, awesome. It was fun having you on and getting to meet you face to face, because I know your face from being on the live podcast, but this is probably the first time you're seeing mine.
Well, I've watched your show too.
Oh yeah, well, until I just recently started my YouTube channel. That's
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Until I launched my YouTube channel, I was just a faceless name on Discord and Twitch chat.
Yep.
So, well, it's been fun. I have fun every week doing this, talking to people about video games. I got so many things I want to talk about and so many people I want to talk to about games. I'm thinking I may make open mic two times a week. I'm floating that idea in my head, so we'll see about that. But I'm glad you were able to come on and just chat for a couple hours about video games. It was a lot of fun. And is there anything else that I wanted to talk about? Oh, yeah. Say the next thing I have coming up is the next episode of Party Chat is this upcoming Saturday at 11:30 Pacific AM. The special guest this week is Hijabi Gamer, which I bet Paul Hadouken probably knows, and Nerdporial probably knows as well. So she's going to be coming on and joining us for Party Chat on Saturday. So come check us out, where we're going to be talking about what we've been playing and fun gaming topics. Like she's a big first-person shooter fan, so we're probably going to be talking about first-person or third-person, just shooter game-related topics probably.
Wonder if she likes Power Wash Simulator. First-person sprayer.
I'll ask her. I have a feeling she probably hasn't played it. But I've been in some of her chats when she's streaming, and I do know that she is a gigantic fan of Destiny and Warframe. Those are like her two big things. So
I've played both those. Warframe is actually great.
We'll probably talk about that a bit. I've played like we mentioned earlier, I've put about 1,600 hours into the first Destiny. I never got into the second one. I did play the demo, but didn't play the second one. But I've never played Warframe, so I don't know anything about it. But I've heard good stuff.
Yep. I'll look forward to see what she has to say about that.
So, yes, come check us out on Saturday if you want to hear more gaming chat from myself and my co-host Mark the Cyborg and Legion Games and guest host Hijabi Gamer. So that'll about do it for tonight. I've been floating, trying to figure out some sort of cool like sign-off catchphrase or something, kind of like anchor bands like "Stay Classy, San Diego." So I was thinking of basically my YouTube banner. So we'll catch you on the next one, and in the meantime, game on.